On South Africa tonight, while in a twist earlier this week, members of parliament voted for the approval of a parliamentary inquiry into the fitness of public protector Busisiwe Mkhwebane to hold office. This came even after most ANC MPs indicated that they would not approve a process initiated by the DA. Political analyst Sipho Seepe joins us now live to discuss this matter. Prof, thanks a lot for joining us this evening. How significant would you say was Tuesday's vote? This was the African National Congress siding with the opposition for this parliamentary process into the public protector's fitness to hold office?
Well, it's significant at two levels. One, as you rightfully indicate, that members of the ANC, a number of them had expressed reservations around and about voting with the opposition. But what we saw was that members of the ANC were given clear instruction that they must vote with the DA. What that means, which is most significant, is that they were simply reduced by that instruction to simply mere voting cattle. They were being told that they must suspend their intellect and suspend their conscience and vote in a particular way. So when you have members of the ANC who are expected also to be guided by the conscience following like that, then we should actually kiss goodbye the whole idea that they can vote with their conscience. That's number one. Number two, what it does, it's also set precedent, because for a number of instances, we've seen members of the ANC being hauled by Luthuli House when they voted with the opposition in the local government, some of them even becoming expelled. And recently, we're also told that the Premier of Northwest was in trouble because he had voted with the opposition. So effectively, it is precedent setting at those two levels. One, that forget about these members applying their minds. Forget about these members doing what you expect caucus to do. Caucus is supposed to debate and deliberate, and then out of that, end up with a consensus position, which then they can take. At least we know that did not happen, or it was truncated or disrupted. But there was a clear instruction from the Senate that you will vote as we tell you, or we will deal with you accordingly.
Voting as we tell you or will deal with you accordingly still means that politics of the stomach continue to dominate our political landscape even in 2021, that even ANC MP members fear being suspended, fear losing some kind of income or salary or some form of compensation. And as a result of this, they're finding that they do vote, as you say, like cattle.
Yes, they just reduced to voting cattle, and we must worry those who think that they are public representatives. We should know that they are there to represent their stomach, as you correctly say so. And it is disappointing because one would have expected that at least from the deliberations, the members of the ANC will make us even wiser in terms of the decisions and the positions that they are taking. But that has been already thrown out of the window. So what we can expect from now on is that we should not expect them to do what the Constitution expects them to do. Remember, not so long ago, we had the eNCA judgment that was praised by everybody, where members were said and told that they must, once they become members and they take oath of office, there's a certain expectations that they would apply their minds. But here, the instruction was very clear. Suspend your intellect. Forget about your conscience. Yeah. We have certain interest to pursue. And what is also interesting about it, it is possible that some of them voted because there's also a conflict of interest, that either they are supporting or protecting certain people, or they themselves have been found wanting by the public protector, and this becomes also what you call a get back.
But then, Prof, what does this say about the internal battles that are currently happening within the African National Congress? I mean, they lay bare out in the public for criticism, they laid bare for analysis, they also laid bare for individuals to be able to see exactly the not-so-rosy part of the ruling party.
Yeah, well, we must accept also a certain room of disagreement within the ANC. After all, the ANC keeps on telling us it is a broad church. which means that it is a home of multiplicity of perspectives. So we expect them to engage in those. But what we have seen now is less of that, but more factionalism. You see people taking positions, and this is more about the supremacy of power, because with that power comes certain dividends, and that goes back to the issue of what's in it for me, as opposed to what's in it for South Africa.
Yeah. Well, the Constitution states in Section 194 that the President may suspend a person from office at any time after the start of the proceedings of a committee for the National Assembly for the removal of that person. Can we anticipate the President to indeed suspend the Public Protector?
Well, some members of the ANC hold the view that the voting was about to initiate a discussion around the panel. And it's debatable that the thing are that clear-cut. But like you say, once the proceedings are seen to have started, the president will have little choice but to do as required by the Constitution. The question that needs to be asked is whether we are at that stage yet. It depends on how the members of the ANC were made to understand, because some people hold the view that it was simply about starting a process and later debating whether they should. I saw it as at least the misunderstanding that we're given is really about the discussion of the panel, and then which may initiate the process. So it will be up to the president to decide whether that state has been met. And in that case, he'll have little choice but to proceed.
Unfortunately, we're running out of time, Prof. But very quickly, does that mean that the Democratic Alliance now has got political leverage over the ANC?
Well, I think there are two ways of seeing it. And the parties in Parliament have a right to influence each other. And it depends on whether, in this case, the DA has achieved what it has wanted, which is to rule the ANC without having won elections, to dictate to the ANC and also to dictate to the House. And this is a position that some members of the ANC have raised, that if they wanted to remove the Prime Protector, it would be important for them to do so themselves rather than to take marching orders from another party. Clearly, what we can see, either it's a persuasion or it is the ANC members trying to cover themselves and probably including their president, but it could also be that they've been persuaded. But as we know, and as we said earlier, this was a clear instruction with no debate allowed.
Professor Sipho Seepe, we'll leave it there for this evening. Thanks a lot for joining us, shedding some light in terms of the meaning and the significance of that voting in Parliament that took place on Tuesday.